Yeah. No, a Chinese owned company is under the thumb of the Chinese government. I mean, that's just life. That's just life over there. And look, there's a good point. I think there's a good point in critique and that we should deal with in I think a bad point, but in part that's a little bit our fault because we had a longer discussion of TikTok before that really broke out the difference between the national security concerns about TikTok versus the expression concerns about TikTok. And we had said pretty clearly that the expression concerns about TikTok, that we don't like TikTok because it's making people more image conscious or increasing anxiety or things like this, that those kinds of concerns, which are the sort of the same genre of concern that exists for social media writ large, is they're real First Amendment issues in saying we're going to cut off access to social media, whether it's TikTok or others, on the basis purely of the content of the communication and the impact that it's having on teenagers. And there's cases winding through. We've talked about these cases. And I agree that if your beef with TikTok is specifically and only related to content of TikTok, that is a separate issue than if your beef with TikTok is related to the fact that it is a Chinese company collecting private information about American individuals and ultimately operated according to China's best interests in a manner that can render Americans more vulnerable to the Chinese. Because I'm sorry, the Chinese government does not have a First Amendment interest here. It doesn't. Okay. And so when you're talking about a Chinese company that is gathering personal data of Americans, there are national security interests that start to get implicated. And then the use of that personal data from Americans to generate content to advance Chinese interests, all of this is located in a national security context with an entity that is not in the same position, sorry to say, as Instagram. It's not in the same position as Facebook. It's not in the same position as Twitter. There are national security issues related to a Chinese-owned company gathering private information about American citizens for Chinese interests that really do matter and do not specifically sound in the First Amendment.